If you were here for fun, the fun ends now. We're reading more about lay immigration. Let's see. Does federal law restrict unauthorized immigrants' access to state public benefits? We read through this. Furthermore, the state laws that nothing in it is to be construed as addressing eligibility for basic public education. Okay, we did this. Okay. Can unauthorized immigrants receive work authorization? Generally, unauthorized immigrants are not eligible for work authorization. In some cases, individuals with certain statuses on or pending applications may be eligible for work authorization. DACA recipients may apply for work authorization from DHS. TPS recipients are granted work authorization by virtue of their status. For DED, eligibility for work authorization depends on the terms the president specifies in each DED designation. Asylum applicants may apply for work authorization 150 days after filing an application for asylum. As of 2021, certain EU visa applicants and qualifying relatives, including those who may be unauthorized with pending petitions, may receive work authorization. What would this go under? Eligibility for federal and state aid. This random fact should probably be its own thing. Unauthorized. Would this go under eligibility for federal and state aid? Probably not, actually. Legal immigrants generally are not eligible to apply for work authorization. Some cases are exceptions to this, such as DACA, TPS, DED, or asylum-seeking immigrants after 150 days from filing for asylum. Are unauthorized immigrants eligible for student aid and or in-state tuition? Unauthorized immigrants are not eligible for federal student aid. They may be eligible for state financial aid, college financial aid, or private scholarships based on the rules of the relevant entities. Unauthorized immigrants may be eligible for in-state tuition in some states based on state-specific policies. Are not eligible for federal student aid. Some states or local areas may provide student aid based on their local rules. The fuck does this do? Oh. What is this heart shit in YouTube chat? If I click this thing, I don't even know. Don't care. Are unauthorized immigrants eligible for driver's licenses and real IDs? In general, issuance of and eligibility requirements for driver's licenses are matters of state law and policy. As of September 2021, unauthorized immigrants are able to get driver's licenses in 16 states. As of 2021, illegal immigrants are eligible for driver's licenses in 16 states, DC and Puerto Rico. The Real ID Act established minimum security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and identification cards required for certain federal purposes, such as boarding domestic flights and accessing certain federal facilities. This includes evidence that the individual has lawful status in the United States. Thus, unauthorized immigrants are not eligible for real IDs. States may still issue identification cards or driver's licenses that are non-compliant with Real ID, but those IDs may not be used for specified federal purposes. Legal immigrants should not be able to apply for, or should not be able to be granted a real ID due to federal requirements of citizenship verification or status verification. Seems like state laws and federal laws don't correlate much, and states seem incentivized to choose their own adventure. Yeah, I mean, that's the system that we live under in the United States, yeah. Eligibility for voting and military service. Are unauthorized immigrants eligible to vote in elections? All non-U.S. citizens, including unauthorized immigrants, are ineligible to vote in federal elections. The illegal all non-U.S. citizens. Does that mean that you can't? Are residents allowed to vote? They're not, right? Are lawful permanent residents allowed to vote in U.S. elections? I don't think they can. Including permanent legal residents cannot vote. Okay. Are unauthorized immigrants eligible to serve in the U.S. military? Wait, hold on. Introduce criminal penalties for non-citizens who vote in federal elections. Let's see, work authorization. Voting and military service. Only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in federal elections. Non-citizens may vote in non-federal elections as authorized by states and localities. How rainy is Miami? Depending on the season, it could be quite rainy. Are unauthorized immigrants eligible to serve in the U.S. military? In general, unauthorized immigrants may not enlist in the U.S. Armed Forces. By law, enlistment is open to U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, non-citizen nationals, e.g. individuals born in American Samoa and Swains Island, and persons from Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, and Palau. Service secretaries within the armed forces are statutorily authorized to enlist a limited number of other persons who possess critical skills or expertise deemed vital to the national interest. From 2008 to 2016, the military accessions vital to the national interest program permitted the enlistment of certain non-citizens whose medical skills and language expertise were deemed vital to the national interest. However, the Department of Defense required those enlistees to have lawful presence. Eligible populations included asylees, refugees, non-immigrants, those with TPS and DACA beneficiaries. The MABNY program was suspended in 2016 following the DOD's establishment of new security screening requirements. Immigrants are not generally allowed to serve in the military. Economic characteristics. Let's see. Work, voting, random facts, border security, Ellis Island, economics, immigration. This is probably going to go under still illegal immigration, I guess. Because measures of immigration status are generally not available in major government survey data, it's difficult to disaggregate the economic impact of unauthorized immigrants from the economic impact of immigrants more generally. Such estimates are more widely available for the foreign-born population. Where possible in this section, CRS has the Congressional Research. What does that stand for? Service, sorry. Has included estimates related to the unauthorized population, specifically In other cases, information is limited to the foreign-born population broadly. At what rate do unauthorized immigrants participate in the labor force? The labor force participation rate is the proportion of individuals ages 16 and older in the civilian labor force who are employed or are unemployed and actively seeking work. The foreign-born tend to have higher rates of labor force participation compared with those born in the U.S. This trend has long been documented by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. BLS reported in 2021, the foreign-born labor force participation rate was 64.7%. Legal immigrants tend to participate in the labor force at higher rates than natives. In 2021, the BLS reported that the foreign-born, that's not illegal immigrants though. Hold on, let's be clear here. The foreign-born tend to have higher rates of labor. Okay. Foreign-born population the foreign-born population tend to participate in the labor force at higher rates than natives. In 2021, the BLS reported that the foreign-born labor force participation rate was 64.7% compared to 61% for the native-born. Does that include retirees, as it's just 16 plus, which will heavily skew US born down? Yeah, that's why I think people don't generally use labor force participation rate. Usually you'll use the U3, which includes, or doesn't include, like, people not seeking work. So, like, old people, retired people. Let's see. Oh, wait, no, wait, I'm sorry. Labor force participation does include actively seeking work. So it wouldn't include retired people. Labor force participation rate. Does the labor force participation rate, does that equal any of the U measurements for unemployment? Or not at all? Maybe not. Labor force participation is particularly high among foreign-born men. In 2021, 76.8% of foreign-born men participated in the labor force, compared with 65.8% of native-born men. Foreign-born women, conversely, have lower rates of labor force participation than native-born women, 53.4% and 56.6%, respectively. Unauthorized immigrants specifically participate in the labor force at higher rates than the foreign-born population broadly and the native-born population. In 2019, estimates of unauthorized immigrants' labor force participation ranged from 69% to 77%. Jesus, okay. So this would come under economics. Legal immigrants have higher labor force participation rates than native or foreign-born immigrants or foreign-born populations, with 2019 estimates ranging from 69% to 77%. Unauthorized immigrant men tend to have even higher labor force participation rates. In which industries do unauthorized immigrants work? Unauthorized immigrants are highly concentrated in certain industries, including agriculture, construction, leisure/hospitality, services, and manufacturing. Immigrants tend to work in certain industries, such as agriculture, construction, leisure/hospitality, services, and manufacturing. An analysis of 2016 data, for example, found that unauthorized immigrants comprised 5% of the total civilian labor force, but 15% of the agricultural industry, 13% of the construction industry, and 8% of the leisure/hospitality industry. Certain occupations within those industries also have particularly high concentrations of unauthorized workers. For example, the Department of Labor survey of U.S. farm workers in fiscal year 2019 to 2020 found that 44% of hired crop workers were unauthorized. Jesus. Do unauthorized immigrants impact the wages of U.S.-born workers? A 2017 summary report by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine states that empirical evidence on the wage impacts of foreign-born workers reveals one sobering reality: wage and employment impacts created by flows of foreign-born workers into labor markets are complex and difficult to measure. Because of data limitations, few studies have examined the impacts of unauthorized immigrants specifically on the wages of U.S.-born workers. Empirical studies of wage impacts instead tend to focus on other foreign-born worker subgroups, especially education or skill level. Unauthorized workers are generally assumed to be concentrated in unskilled jobs. The NASM report's review of the literature explains the centrality of worker complementarity versus worker substitution, complementarity versus worker substitution with regard to the impacts of newly arrived immigrants. For cases in which immigrants and natives specialize in different occupational activities, i.e. worker complementarity, wage gains and job creation become likely outcomes when new arrivals compete with those already in the labor force. For example, if unskilled immigrants and native-born teenagers or earlier immigrants are applying for the same fast food, restaurant jobs, wages and job opportunities for the latter may be negatively impacted, at least in the short run. In general, the NASM report finds that among low-skilled workers, foreign-born workers' negative impacts on the wages of U.S.-born workers tend to be more pronounced in the short run and are very small over periods of more than 10 years. The groups that were most likely to experience wage declines associated with new immigrant arrivals to the low-skilled labor market were previous cohorts of immigrants and native-born individuals lacking a high school diploma. 2017 by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Measuring illegal immigrant impact on wages is difficult. If wages are negatively impacted, it's most likely concentrated on low-skill jobs where illegal immigrants are competing directly with natives or recent immigrants, especially among with no job skills and only some high school education. What fiscal impacts do unauthorized immigrants have on federal, state, and local governments? Research on fiscal impacts generally considers the differences between public expenditures on the benefits and services immigrants receive and the tax revenues they contribute, e.g. via income taxes. The NASM report contends that fiscal impacts generally reveal themselves over several years because an individual's contributions and program expenditures change across the course of his or her life. NASM's analysis finds that among the foreign-born, fiscal impacts are generally positive at the federal level and negative at state and local levels. For example, state and local governments assume most costs of public education. The analysis also finds that foreign and native-born persons similarly matched on characteristics like age and education will likely have about the same fiscal impact. That foreign and native-born persons similarly matched on characteristics. Okay. Similar to the wage impacts described above, data limitations make it difficult to isolate public expenditures and tax contributions for unauthorized immigrants specifically. Nevertheless, immigration status is likely an important determinant of fiscal impact. As described previously, see the eligibility for certain federal and state benefits section. Unauthorized immigrants are ineligible for most public benefits. However, states may not deny children a free public education because of their immigration status. In considering the economic characteristics of unauthorized immigrants, NASM states that because unauthorized immigrants tend to be younger than other foreign-born groups and therefore more likely to be in the labor market, and because they're ineligible for many public benefits, they may have a more positive fiscal impact at the federal level compared with other immigrant groups. However, they also note that unauthorized immigrants tend to have lower earnings than other foreign-born groups and may therefore have lower tax contributions. Here's a question. For a state, are you obligated to provide education if a person has no address? Wouldn't you need an address for that? The address is probably the shelter. Because I wonder how, like, shouldn't school always be paid for with property taxes? I don't know how to understand how you can consume, like, education resources without paying into it somewhat if you need an address for it, unless they lie about the address, I guess. Overconsume is a word, but underconsume isn't. Are unauthorized immigrants required to pay federal taxes? Unauthorized immigrants may be required to pay federal taxes, e.g. if they work in the United States. However, quantifying their contribution is difficult, as unauthorized immigrants generally do not have a special designation under tax law and do not provide information as to whether they are lawfully present on federal tax documents, such as the federal income tax return. Hence, the IRS does not have official estimates of the federal taxes paid by unlawfully present non-citizens in the United States or the tax benefits they claim. For federal tax purposes, unauthorized immigrants are treated like any other non-citizen and are categorized as either resident or non-resident aliens. This designation, which is for federal tax purposes only, is based on the time they reside in the United States and not their immigration status. It is neither an indication of the immigration status nor does it affect immigration status. Resident aliens are generally taxed in the same manner as U.S. citizens. Non-resident aliens are subject to different treatment, such as generally being taxed only on income from U.S. sources. Nice. In addition, by law, individuals must provide a unique identifying number when they file tax returns and other documents with the IRS. Generally, an individual's taxpayer identification number is his or her Social Security number. However, certain non-citizens are not eligible for SSNs, including unauthorized immigrants. Individuals who are not eligible to receive an SSN are required to use an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN, when filing their documents, such as tax returns with the IRS. ITINs are issued by the IRS and are for federal tax purposes only. Use of an ITIN does not necessarily mean an individual is unlawfully present. However, the IRS and the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration believe that a large proportion of ITIN filers are unlawfully present non-citizens working in the United States. Jesus. IRS and the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration believe that a large proportion of individual taxpayer identification number filers are illegal immigrants working in the U.S. Crime. Okay. Is there a relationship between unauthorized immigrants and crime? Assessing the relationship between unauthorized immigration and crime is complicated by, among other challenges, data limitations and the inability to compare research studies that use different methods, evaluating different populations, cover different periods, and or ask different research questions. Let's see. Crime. I'd probably want like crime of illegal immigrants, huh? Nevertheless, ample research on immigration and crime consistently indicates that in general, immigrants have either no impact or a reductive impact on crime. This has been seen in individual studies as well as studies that review bodies of literature on immigration and crime. Likewise, most empirical scholarship examining the relationship between unauthorized immigrants specifically and crime have similar findings. For example, studies have found that unauthorized immigration does not increase violent crime, and in some cases, it decreases such crime. Other studies show unauthorized immigration is associated with a reduction in drug arrests, drug overdoses, and driving under the influence. 79. I would have looked at this footnote. See Michael T. Light, Ty Miller, and Brian C. Kelly. Undocumented immigration, drug problems, and driving under the influence in the United States. This is from 2018. And this one is from 2017. Did we have the right sentence? This is 2017. This is 2017. Or no, published 2018, I think. To examine the influence of undocumented immigration in the United States on 4 different metrics of drug and alcohol problems: drug arrest, drug overdose fatalities, driving under the influence, and DUI deaths. We combine newly developed state-level estimates of the undocumented population from 1990 and 2014 from the Center for Migration Studies with arrest data from the Federal Bureau of Investigation Uniform Crime Reports and fatality information. We use fixed effect regression models to examine the longitudinal association between increased undocumented immigration and drug problems and drunk driving. Increased immigration was significantly associated with reductions in drug arrests, drug overdose deaths, and DUI arrests, net of other factors. There was no significant relation between increased undocumented immigration and DUI deaths. Increase the prevalence of... Why? How does that... Can you explain that? Why would undocumented immigration be significantly associated with a reduction in drug arrests? Is it like if the population increased and the arrests remain the same, then there's a reduction in the rate? Or I don't understand this. Also, fuck me. Should I make a PubMed account as well? Okay, undocumented immigration, drug problems, and driving under the influence in the United States. Increased undocumented immigration was significantly associated with reduction in drug arrests, drug overdose deaths, DUI arrests, and net of other factors. There was no significant relation between increase. Okay, conclusion. So increase the prevalence. Okay, we're going to associate reduction of these public health concerns. Okay, methods. We combine newly developed state-level estimates of the undocumented population from 1990 and 2014. We use fixed effects regression models to examine the longitudinal association between increased undocumented immigration and drunk problems and drunk driving. Okay, we used fixed effects regression models. What does that mean? You're looking at like just an increase in immigration, and then you are comparing that to the number of a particular crime or outcome or whatever. Fixed effect regression models. A fixed effects model is a statistical model in which the model parameters are fixed or non-random quantities. This is in contrast to random effects models and mixed models, in which all or some of the model parameters are random variables. In many applications, including econometrics and biostatistics, a fixed effects model refers to a regression model in which the group means are fixed, non-random, as opposed to a random effects model in which the group means are a random sample from a population. Okay. Generally, data can be grouped according to several observed factors. The group means could be modeled as fixed or random effects for each grouping. In a fixed effects model, each group mean is a group-specific fixed quantity. In a fixed effects model, each group mean is a group-specific fixed quantity. Longitudinal observations for the same subject. Fixed effects represent the subject-specific means. In panel data analysis, the term fixed effects estimator, also known as the within estimator, is used to refer to an estimator for the coefficients in the regression model, including those fixed effects. One-time invariant intercept for each subject. Jesus, okay. Okay. One day we'll take that stats course. Okay. Okay, we tested the contrasting hypotheses with data from multiple sources at the state level from 1990 to 2014. Data for DUI and drug arrest came from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Uniform Crime Reports, which compiles data for more than 1,800 or 18,000 law enforcement agencies representing 90% of the population in 2014. Let's see. An undocumented comes from two of the most reliable sources. In addition, we collected data on an array of socioeconomic, demographic, and criminal justice characteristics from the U.S. Census, the National Prisoner Statistics, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation police employment data. Dependent variables. We used 4 dependent variables. We measured problems relating to drugs by using the rate of arrest for drug violations per 100,000. And the rate of unintentional drug overdose deaths per 100,000. Okay, so it is a rate per population. We use 2 measures because arrests reflect a mixture of use and policing behavior. Overdose fatalities, by contrast, are unlikely to track changes in policing, unless markedly reflect the prevalence of heavy drug use. That's smart. Using the same logic, we measured alcohol-impaired driving by using the DUI arrest rate per 100,000 and the rate of fatalities involving drunk driving. Okay, we calculated rates for each dependent variable by using the total population. However, results were unchanged when we calculated rates for the adult population, ages over 18, driving populations, ages over 16, or populations of legal drinking age over 21. We logged all outcome measures to reduce positive skewness. I'll see. I'm showing table 1 because there's a small amount of missing data. Okay. Okay, drug arrest and the mean. Undocumented immigrants, focal measures. Okay. Okay, so drug arrest is the number of people getting arrested for drug-related things. Is this per 100,000? That seems really, really, really low, right? Or... Summary statistics for state-level dependent and independent measures is in an examination of undocumented immigration and drug arrest, driving under the influence arrest, drug mortality arrest. No, DUI, okay, according to uniform. Not really? There's no way that drug arrests... Oh, it is. Okay, never mind. Per 100,000 population. It is. Damn, okay. I would assume more people get arrested for drugs. But I guess not, maybe. Okay. How many per 100K did you expect? For drug arrests? I don't know. Why did I expect at least like 1%? What would that be, 1,000 per 100K? 1% of people to get arrested for marijuana. Is that too much? I guess my estimate is way too high. Yeah, I guess. Okay. So like when it says here, covariates, unemployment proportion of the population, 5.8. What does this mean? Does this mean that like of people that got, is this like for the unemployed population, 5.8 per 100,000? I don't know what the fuck I'm reading. Never mind. I don't understand how to read this chart at all. Okay, drug arrest. And then this is the mean. Wait, drug arrest mean, and then the standard deviations that it could vary by, so we don't care about the second number. Okay, so, wait, right? I have absolutely no idea how to fucking read any of this. I have no idea what the fuck I'm looking at. I'm completely lost and retarded. I don't know any of this. Percent unemployed of the immigrant population. How do you know that? So covariates. Okay, so unemployment, proportion of the population, 5.8. What does that say? What does that mean? Why is there a diagonal in the beginning of the table? Holy shit. Okay, I'm just gonna read and try to figure out what the fuck. Maybe I can get hints based on what's written. Okay. Report 6 number 7 state years varies between mortality and arrest rates for both DUI and drug arrest. 4% of state years are missing. To ensure comparability across samples, we show descriptive statistics of all covariates separately for each outcome. Covariates separately for each outcome. Okay, so for drug arrests, meaning the drug offense arrest rate per 100,000. Okay, so these are our drug arrests per 100,000. That's what these are. So for legal immigrants, the drug arrest rate per 100,000 is 6.4. But why, what does this proportion of the population mean? Why the fuck is that? Or poverty, proportion of the population. Okay, drug arrest rate, drug fatality rate, DUI arrest rate, DUI fatalities. Holy shit. Okay, well, fuck me. Listen, this will be after our stat scores. Fuck that. Oh my god, he does. It's the same author, isn't it? He loves these types of fucking studies. Fuck you, you cuck. Michael T. Light. It is him. You cuck. Well, alright. Copying the abstract. Good luck. Two studies done by Michael T. Light et al. When was this published? 2017? Oh no, wait, it's the same fucking study. That's why it's the same fucking chart. Oh, I deleted the one. I don't care. One is enough. Hedis, I know you're not a therapist, but you seem like the most sane person I can ask advice for. 21 years old working. I don't know if I want to go to college. I was sucked into red pill and I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. Bro, what do you want me to say? No. Oh god, no. Go back. AMJ Public Health. What does that mean? American Journal of Public Health, I'm assuming? Yes. Use the abbreviation. Yes. Yes. American Journal of Public Health. Okay. Wait. Google Scholar gives you the formatted citation. I ain't got time for that bullshit. Wait, I'm literally fucking retarded. Why do I keep clicking the same thing? Wait, am I been looking at the same thing the whole time? No. Does undocumented immigration increase violent crime? 2018. Okay. You wouldn't put at all if it's just two authors, right? Okay. Jesus. Three or more is the standard. Yeah? The standard number of dicks your mom eats in a single fucking night? Pathways to permanent status. Are unauthorized immigrants able to obtain permanent legal status? There are limited options for unauthorized immigrants to gain permanent legal status. To adjust to LPR status from within the United States under the main adjustment of status provisions in the INA, an individual must have been inspected and admitted or paroled into the United States. Those who enter the U.S. unlawfully fail to meet this requirement. Pathway to permanent status. Those who have entered the country illegally cannot adjust to lawful permanent resident status since they have not been admitted legally into the U.S. In addition, non-citizens must maintain lawful status since entering the U.S. So this would mean that non-citizens who had been inspected and admitted but overstayed a period of lawful admission would not be eligible for LPR status either. those who overstay visas or have otherwise failed to maintain their lawful status since entering the U.S. are also ineligible for status adjustment. Certain LPR pathways are available to individuals regardless of unlawful entry or unlawful presence. Asylum may be granted to individuals in the U.S. who are unable or unwilling to return to their country or of nationality because of persecution or a well-founded fear of persecution on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. Let's see. Some LPR pathways are available if you are seeking asylum. There are no numerical limitations on asylum grants. Asylees may adjust to LPR status after 1 year of physical presence in the U.S. Other LPR pathways, which account for relatively few immigrants due to numerical limitations, include U non-immigrant visas for non-citizen crime victims who assist law enforcement agencies, T status for non-citizen victims of human trafficking, and cancellations for removal for non-citizens in removal proceedings. What are 3 and 10-year bars? How far away are we from this? Okay. Immigration law also contains restrictions for certain individuals who leave the United States and subsequently apply for an immigrant visa from abroad. Non-citizens who were unlawfully present in the United States for between 6 and 12 months are considered inadmissible to the United States for 3 years, and those unlawfully present for more than 1 year are inadmissible for 10 years, often referred to as 3 and 10-year bars. Oof. Non-citizens who stay in the U.S. illegally for 6 to 12 months are inadmissible into the U.S. for 3 years, and those unlawfully present for more than 1 year are inadmissible for 10 years. These bars are triggered when the individual leaves the U.S. Waivers are available for those who are the spouse, son, or daughter of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. If refusal of admission of such immigrant alien would result in extreme hardship to the citizen or lawfully resident spouse or parent of such alien. Are unauthorized immigrants able to become U.S. citizens? In general, that'd be no, right? Are unauthorized immigrants able to obtain permanent legal status? In general, to be eligible for U.S. citizenship through the naturalization process, applicants must first obtain LPR status. Are unauthorized immigrants allowed to obtain permanent legal status? LPRs may choose to naturalize upon meeting certain eligibility criteria, typically after 5 years in LPR status or 3 if married to a U.S. citizen. Expedited pathways are available to non-citizen members of the U.S. Armed Forces. Naturalization is optional for LPRs. An estimated 9.2 million are currently eligible to naturalize but have not done so. Naturalized citizens, that's interesting. Estimated 9.2 million LPRs are eligible for naturalization, but have not done so. Naturalized citizens gain certain benefits, including the right to vote, security from deportation in most cases, access to certain public sector jobs, and the ability to travel with a U.S. passport. What legalization programs for unauthorized immigrants have been proposed in recent Congresses? At several points during the past 20 years, Congress has considered legislation to establish pathways to LPR status for certain groups of foreign nationals in the U.S., including certain unauthorized immigrants. These bills have focused largely, but not exclusively, on persons without a lawful immigration status. Past measures have included standalone bills with pathways to LPR status for unauthorized childhood arrivals. These bills typically have been referred to as DREAM Acts, as well as bills proposing broader changes to the immigration system that included LPR pathways for different groups. In the 117th Congress, proposed LPR pathways have been focused on several overlapping groups: unauthorized childhood arrivals, commonly referred to as Dreamers, individuals with TPS or DED, agricultural workers, and individuals deemed essential workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. Removal. How many unauthorized immigrants are in removal proceedings? Non-citizens may be placed in removal proceedings based on grounds of inadmissibility or deportability. These grounds may apply to both unauthorized immigrants and those with lawful immigration status, see LPRs, or non-immigrants. During removal proceedings, an immigration judge determines whether the non-citizen is removable, deportable, and if so, whether they are eligible for forms of relief from removal, such as asylum. Removal proceedings begin when non-citizens are issued a notice to appear, charging document, and is filed with an immigration court. Let's see, removal. The removal process begins when non-citizens are issued a notice to appear, charging document. It's filed with an immigration court. As of June 2022, an estimated 1.8 million non-citizens were in removal proceedings in immigration courts. Jesus. So June 2022, an estimated about 1.8 million citizens were in removal proceedings in immigration courts. A large percentage of whom were illegal immigrants. Within that group, approximately 1.1 million individuals were charged with entry without inspection, and an additional 663,000 were charged with another immigration infraction, such as violating the conditions of an authorized stay. Some may ultimately be granted relief from removal during their proceedings. Entry without inspection, and 633,000 were charged with another immigration infraction. How many unauthorized immigrants are deported every year? DHS is responsible for immigration enforcement in the United States, including apprehending non-citizens who are removable, deportable, because they have violated immigration laws, and removing from the United States non-citizens with a final order of removal. Non-citizens may be removed through different types of processes, including the following. When an immigration judge issues an order of removal during formal removal proceedings, under expedited removal, in which arriving aliens and migrants who recently entered the United States without inspection may be removed by DHS without formal proceedings in immigration court, under reinstatement of final removal orders for non-citizens who have re-entered the United States without authorization after previous removal or voluntary departure, and under administrative removal for non-citizens convicted of an aggravated felony who did not have LPR status when the removal proceedings commenced. It's probably good to know this. Non-citizens. Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. Okay, non-citizens may be removed through different processes, including the following. Really? This game is better for learning the flags. Pin flags on a map. Oh, cute. Wait, what flag game are we playing? Oh, GeoGuessr. Wait, why would they have shitty flag games and good flag games? what the fuck? Is this a congressional FAQ section you're citing? This is a congressional report from the Congressional Research Service. Immigration and Customs Enforcement within DHS is responsible for immigration enforcement in the U.S. interior. From fiscal year 2011 through fiscal year 2020, DHS removed an annual average of 96,373 individuals apprehended by ICE. Not all of those removed are unauthorized immigrants. Lawfully present non-citizens, LPRs, may be subject to removal for certain reasons, e.g. criminal offenses. Whom should I contact with additional questions? Okay, well, we've mined this for information. Okay. We've got a New York Times article on fixing the immigration crisis. We've got a Pew Research article that just had some information about how many illegal immigrants are here. Don't think we need this anymore. And then we've got our Republican Judiciary Committee. Courtesy of Jim Jordan. New data reveal worsening magnitude of the Biden border crisis and lack of interior immigration enforcement. Oh boy. So are you going to keep focusing on southern border illegal immigration so you can conveniently avoid Muslim immigration research? Otherwise, you might have to admit Trump was right and maybe not a racist like you see him as. Aerial combat. Link me what the fuck you're talking about. Go ahead. We'll wait. We'll do what you want us to do, okay? You're the driver now. Now you're in charge. Okay, sure. Let's start Muslim immigration in Michigan and Europe. What do you mean in Michigan and Europe? What the fuck are you talking about? We're doing U.S. immigration right now. Why would you say Michigan and Europe? Talk to me about U.S. Muslim immigration. Let's start. Link me something, and we'll read it. If that's what you want to do right now, link me something, okay? Let's go over it. Okay, you can start with the Wall Street Journal article about Dearborn, Michigan, and the Muslims there supporting Hamas en masse. What is that? What the fuck does that prove? Right now, the biggest people that support Hamas that I'm worried about in the U.S. are white college kids. Why one article about a group of people in one city, in one state, supporting Hamas? Are there crimes that anybody is committing there? You understand in the United States, you've got a constitutional right to support Hamas too, right? Are you going to link me to some crimes or give me like a huge crime ring, or what are we talking about right now? Do you have an immigration debate coming up? Would you consistently make documents to your positions? Well, no, but there was a southern border and shit, and it's just nice to have information on it. So like this and like the college stuff now, I feel like pretty confident I can debate against most people now. College is obviously a good idea, and I know all the numbers for the earnings and the debt and everything. So why not for immigration too? It proves that any place Muslims show up in the West end up causing severe issues to Jews/women/gays. You know what's funny is I'm willing to bet that you probably hate all three categories of those people anyway. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking retard. My God. Okay, new data reveal worsening magnitude of the Biden border crisis. Okay, what does Jim Jordan have to say? 3 years in the Biden administration, the crisis at the southwest border is worse than ever. U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered a record-breaking 269,735 illegal aliens along the southwest border in September 2023, shattering the previous record of 252,350 encounters in December 2020. You know what? Actually, you know what? This is probably good to go through. Let's do research to how do we spot bullshit, okay? How do we spot bullshit? Okay. 3 years into the Biden administration, the crisis at the southwest border is worse than ever, okay? So this implies a huge departure, or at least somewhat of a departure from historic norms. U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered a record-breaking 270,000 illegal aliens along the southwest border in September of 2023, shattering the previous record of 252,315 encounters in December of 2022. So it's a little scary that we're going month by month. Do these normally get accounted for monthly, or is it because the yearly one isn't high enough? And why are we comparing September 2023 to December 2022? I'm guessing because September 2023 is recent and December 2022 was the last record. But what about January through September of 2023? Were those like super low? Was there so the selective like picking of months here is already ultra sketch, but okay, that's fine. We'll go do the, we'll look up the numbers on our own. We'll go one paragraph at a time. Actually, no, we're gonna go one factoid at a time. Okay. So the first claim is record-breaking 270,000 illegal aliens along the southwest border. Okay. Let's make a illegal immigration. We could just do this under its own thing. Okay. Current events. Okay. Land border encounters. The problem is that no matter what answer we find to, this is written so shittily. Because we're going to find one of two things. We're either going to find that there is a big trend of the border crisis being worse than it has been historically, or there's not, and this is a lie. If there's not, and this is a lie, then it's bad because it's lied. But if there is and it's true, why wouldn't you include the graph or the longer trend to make your argument even stronger? Why would you selectively pick this out and not just include, if we scroll down, there's not a thing, is there? No, okay, all right. But, all right, let's see. Southwest, land border encounters. Oh God, this is the one that only goes back 3 years. Okay, so he's pointing to September 2023 and December 2022. So September of 2023 is here. And then December of November. December of 2023 is here. Wait, are these the two we're looking at? December of 2022. Wait, 2022. Wait, this doesn't even make sense. Am I fucking retarded? 252,315 encounters. It's December of fiscal year 2023. Did he write it wrong? Am I getting this wrong? 252,315 encounters in December of 2022. This is December fiscal year 2023, 252,315. I need to bring this with 2023 of September. When was this published as well? Hold on. Is it maybe because fiscal year is a year ahead or a year behind? Maybe? Maybe that's why? Maybe that's why. I think that's why. I think the fiscal years are ahead. So that's probably why. Okay. Fiscal year 2023. Okay, so this is going to be, and then 252, and then 269, 735. 269, 735. Okay, so he's using these 2 points. 2022, 2021. If we had to guess, is 2023 higher or lower than 2022? If you're looking at differences between area under the curve, my guess is going to be 2023 is probably higher. A little. Be interesting to have the full yearly estimate on it. Somebody linked something else. Hold on. Oh, wait. Fiscal year comparison by demographic? Fiscal year. Okay. 2022, 2023, and then 2021. Fiscal year by... What the fuck is FUMA? Family some bullshit? Is 2023 done yet on this? Okay, yeah. And then 2024 is still ongoing. Oh, look at the table below. Okay, U.S. Border Patrol and Office of Field Operations encounters. Bro, is this the shittiest fucking website? Or am I just fucking retarded? Okay, demographic, all. Okay. Fiscal year to date totals. Is I'm too stupid. I don't understand. I can't. October, November, December, January, February, March. Is this going like, are these like keeping track of like 12-month running totals? Is that what this means? Fiscal year to date total, or is this just for the month? And month and reporting for fiscal year 2024 date is current. Okay, my guess is this is per month. This, yeah, it must be per month. It's adding up the Office of Field Operations with U.S. Border Patrol. Which is part of ICE, right? U.S. Customs and Border Protection Officer. Or actually, wait, I'm not sure. Hold on. No, that's not true. OFO is a federal law enforcement agency within the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, responsible for managing United States customs operations at 20 field operations offices, 328 ports of entry, and 16 pre-clearance stations in Canada. Okay. Office of Field Operations. It's within U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Okay. Look at the table below for raw data. Sure, this is per. So if I scroll down here and I look at like October and I see 240,930, whatever. 200. Okay, so it's this. Okay. So this is monthly and then this is total. Okay. What? This must go back more than 2021. We must have more data than this, right? There's no shot that this starts here. It does to 2019. No, like it's got to go back to like 1970 or something. There's no shot. There's no shot it only goes back 4 or 5 years. It's impossible that that's the only immigration data that we have to 2017. There's no possible way that that's the case. That cannot be the case. 1960 to 2018. United States Border Patrol. Okay, CBP. Okay, thank you. Holy Christ. Total illegal alien apprehension by fiscal year. Wait, does this not include, like, coming from Mexico, or? Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. These are ports of entry in the U.S. El Paso, San Diego, Yuma, I see, okay. Does this include every single place where you would catch an illegal immigrant, or? Like, is this where they all go through? How the fuck is this not easy to find? Oh my god. Kill me. CBP, Southwest Border Total Apprehension / Inadmissibles. So this is for 2017. Wait, hold on. $2016. Okay. It doesn't give you like a total for each year? Okay. The last chart had Southwest total on the right. This one? Yeah, but is this... So does that mean that every single one of these are the only places where you can catch like illegal immigrants? Or is this where they all go to for processing? Or like, what does this mean? Like, if you just avoid these 8 places, you're not going to get caught illegally immigrating? Or... Those are probably processing centers. Do you have to process somebody if you just catch them trying to come in? You don't just like kick them out? Stats and summaries. Oh, cool. And it's in a different format for every single fucking... What, every few years they just change it up? Oh, never mind. Okay, here we go. My god. Jesus. All right. Sectors and stations. Big Bend, Sector, Texas. Blaine, Sector, Washington. Buffalo Sector, New York. Holy fuck. okay. Okay, so the data only goes back till 2011? Is that when the government got access to computers, or did we just or was history didn't start until then, or what's the? There's a Wall Street Journal article that has a graph that you want. Why the fuck does it change here? What the fuck is this? Southwest Border Family Unit and UAC apprehensions. Okay. Whoa. Total apprehensions. 1925 to 2019. Oh, hello. Oh my god. Thank you. Thank you, holy fucking Christ. U.S. States Border Patrol. Nationwide. Illegal alien apprehension. Okay. I don't even know when the fucking... Bush was 2000 to 2008, right? And then Clinton was 2 terms before? And then Bush Sr. for 1 term? U.S. presidents. And then Reagan, right? Am I making this up? Yes. Bush was just 1 term, right? Okay. Okay, so 89 onwards. Let's check. Okay, so from 89. Okay, we've got Bush. Clinton would have been like 92 to 2000. For Clinton. Jesus. Okay, lots of duders. And then we got Bush coming in. Also lots of duders. 2008. And then we've got Obama, who just obliterated. Then we've got Trump. This is only telling us the apprehensions, though. The illegal immigrant population stopped growing in the U.S. when? Illegal immigration. Number of illegal immigrants. The number of unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. has been stable since about 2008. And that's when, that's when the apprehension started to decrease quite a bit. Okay. Wait. Why does this... 3 years into the Biden administration, the crisis at the southwest border is worse than ever. U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered a record-breaking 269,000 illegal aliens along the southwest border, shattering the previous record of 252,000. Although official figures are not yet... Wait, hold on. Does this even matter? Or what's the crisis? Wouldn't the crisis be if they got in? So we need to provide figures of like illegals actually getting into the country, right? Or we need to track that somehow, I imagine. Although official figure, maybe he'll get to that. Although official figures are not yet known, the September 2023 record reportedly stood for just 3 months. December 2023 saw more than 302,000 illegal alien encounters along the southwest border, with such a large and seemingly unending influx of legal aliens into the United States. That's not what this means. Influx of illegal aliens into the United States. For like an executive summary publishing things, this is a bold-faced lie. This statement is just not true, unless we've got, or it's misleading at best, unless he justifies it later on. But Americans would be right to conclude that the border crisis is not a side effect, but instead a goal of the Biden administration's radical open borders immigration policies. If they had an open borders immigration policy, then why would there be more apprehensions? Wouldn't instead they just be allowed in? Like, Far from disincentivizing the flood of illegal immigration by detaining and removing illegal aliens, President Joe Biden and the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas continued to release illegal aliens into the U.S. communities en masse. In fact, in early December 2023, DHS officials admitted that an average of 5,000 illegal aliens are currently being released into the U.S. each day at the border. Well, what is that compared to what in the past? Even Secretary Mayorkas has acknowledged the high rate of releases, telling Border Patrol that the current rate of release for illegal immigrants apprehended at the southern border is above 85%. Well, what is it normally? Footnote 3. 5,000 illegal immigrants released every day into the U.S., admin officials privately tell lawmakers. Total illegal immigrants released could top 1.8 million for the year if current pace continues. Nice. My God, bro. Kill me. The Biden administration has told lawmakers that an average of 5,000 illegal immigrants are currently being released in the U.S. each day at the border, while there are over 670,000 illegal immigrants who evaded Border Patrol last fiscal year, Fox News has learned. Well, what is this? Nice. Link. Seriously? Homeland Security. Okay, well, that does nothing. In a briefing on Friday to the Arizona congressional delegation, House and Senate Judiciary Committees in the House and Senate Homeland Security Committee, Fox is told that Department of Homeland Security officials told lawmakers that there were around 670,000 known gateways at the border. Gotaways at the border last fiscal year. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas had previously acknowledged that the number was over 600,000. Lawmakers have also been told that there is an average of 5,000 illegal immigrants released each day to non-governmental organizations who provide migrants with assistance and will sometimes help them get to their destinations. If that pace holds throughout the entire year, that would be over 1.8 million illegal entrants in that time frame. What is this fucking reporting? What the fuck am I even reading here? Oh, shit. After these research streams, I'm blackpilled on footnotes? Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm... Like... Okay, so the immigrants are released to NGOs. Is that more than normal or less than normal? Like, how many does this normally happen with? Who provide migrants with assistance and will sometimes help them get to their destinations. What does that mean? What percentage of these are then are they released into the U.S. or do they go to other places? Or when they're released to NGOs, is it always NGOs in the United States? Or what do these NGOs do? What are these for? Are they for like resettling illegals, like illegally? Or if that pace holds throughout the entire year, that'd be over 1.8 million illegal entrants in that time frame. You're talking about a 20% increase to the illegal population of the U.S. There's got to be some kind of like actual research on this, like an actual number, a real study. What the fuck is this information? Meanwhile, at the ports of entry, an average of 1,600 migrants are being processed and released via the use of humanitarian parole each day under the CBP One app. That authority is set to Congress to be used on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant... Okay, what is it normally? Migrant encounters hit daily record at southern border. Hit the highest total for a single day ever recorded on Tuesday, marking yet another record broken as part of the ongoing migrant crisis, which has hammered cities at both the border and across the country. Multiple customs and border encounters. There were over 12,000 migrant encounters on Tuesday. Over 10,200 of those were Border Patrol encounters. Legal immigrants. Hi, thank you. I love you. The Border Patrol number is among the highest number of encounters ever recorded for the agency by itself, but breaks a record when combined with the encounters CBP's Office of Field Operations at ports of entry. Compared to what? Hit a new record of 2.4 million migrant encounters, with September hitting the highest monthly total ever recorded with over 260,000 encounters. October saw slightly fewer with 240,000, but that was still a record for October. In recent weeks, the Tucson sector of Arizona had been hit hard by a surge of migrant encounters. 3,000 encounters a day. Is this all just... Is this all just bullshit, or? Hi. Oh, thanks. Tucson.
The same color it was?
Nope.
How do we get the color?
There you go. I got it. Love you. Be careful. What am I looking for? Okay. Daily record for encounters broken this week. And it links back to, okay. I don't believe your data when you present it like this. When you go by single days, single months, and you don't give any type of historical norms or whatever, it makes me feel like you're lying. It makes me feel like you're hiding things. But, okay. Maybe we'll find more information in here. What was this footnote for? Ah, another Fox News thing. Mayorkas tells Border Patrol agents that above 85% of legal immigrants released into the U.S.
What we're seeing at the U.S. is ebbs and flows in how many migrants arrive at the border. It's something that happens every year. It ebbs and flows.
This is a tsunami that's happening at the southern border. This is very purposeful.
Admitted to Border Patrol agents that the current rate of release for illegal immigrants apprehended at the southern border is above 85%. What is it normally? Why is it not linking to anything? What is this? Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on Monday admitted to Border Patrol agencies. What is the source for this? Is that it? Is that the whole quote? The quote is above 85%. What? Mayorkas made the remarks when meeting privately with agents in Eagle Pass, Texas, according to 3 Border Patrol sources who were in the room and heard the remarks themselves. Okay, so it's just the sourcing is this. What is it normally? The conversation happened during the muster for agents in the busy border area. Fox has told Mayorkas was asked directly about comments he made on Special Report last week when he was asked by anchor Brett Baer about reporting that over 70% of migrants are released into the U.S. each day. Mayorkas acknowledged the majority of legal immigrants released into the U.S. I know the data. When individuals are released, they are released in immigration enforcement proceedings. They are on alternatives to detention, and we've returned or removed a record number of individuals. We are enforcing the laws that Congress has passed. Fox is told that on Monday, agents pushed him on those remarks, saying that the number is even higher than 70%, and when Mayorkas acknowledged a release rate of above 85%, so last week on Special Report that well more than 1 million migrants are released into the U.S. annually. And migrants? Does that mean not illegal immigrants or unauthorized immigrants? And argued repeatedly that it's up to Congress to provide more funding and immigration reform to fix what is called a broken system. He said that the agency is limited in detention capacity by funding. When somebody enters the country, we place them in immigration enforcement proceedings pursuant to immigration law. And if their claim for relief, their claim to remain in the United States succeeds, then by law, they're able to stay here, he said. The remarks come just 2 days before the House Homeland Security Committee holds its first impeachment hearing. The hearing on Wednesday marks the first an aggressive border stance and funding fight. Says GOP must have clear resolve. Mayorkas and other DHS officials have said that it has removed or returned more than 470,000 people since May, which is more than the entirety of fiscal year 2019. So a lot of people are getting removed, apparently. At a press hearing on Monday, Mayorkas highlighted the removals and returns, saying it's more than any other 5-month period in the last 10 years. Under Chairman Jim Jordan and Subcommittee Chairman Tom McClintock, the Committee on the Judiciary and its Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement continue robust oversight of the Biden administration's border and immigration crisis. Both public and non-public information provided to the committee reveals the worsening state of the southwest border. Since January 2021, the Biden administration has released into the United States more than 3.3 million illegal aliens. In a January 2024 interview, Secretary Mayorkas admitted as much, stating the Biden administration has released more than 1 million illegal aliens each year. Wait, is this the quote that we just read? He said more than 1 million migrants, right? Did they add illegal aliens? Maybe that's what he was referring to in the quote? Or where's footnote 6 on this? Oh my God, and it's... Ugh, don't do this to me. I think migrants would imply illegal aliens. What? I don't know what implies anything. Ugh, I'm getting fucking cucked by Fox fucking News. The committee and subcommittee will continue their oversight of the Biden administration's open border agenda. Why does an official government document link to Fox News articles and not official government documents or sites? Because this is just it's the House Judiciary Committee. It's just a Republican shitpost committee where they like write up this like dog shit stuff that wouldn't even count as an effort post in my subreddit to push whatever propaganda Jim Fuckhead Jordan decides he wants to push for the year. Okay, what is this? Click check data set and nationwide encounters. Raw CBP data access. Control F. Raw. Encounters? Nationwide encounters dashboard. Or this? You just took me to the same page I was already at before. Thank you, though. Wait, is this whole thing just the executive summary? Or... How do you have an executive summary of a fucking 10-page report? Is that how illiterate your fucking fan base is? Oh, sorry, it's fine. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Oh my god. Releases and removals under the Biden administration. Released and not removed and removed. After being placed in immigration court removal proceedings. How can you remove somebody before the proceedings are finished? What are you supposed to do? Between January 20th and September 30th, 2021-23, the Biden administration removed from the United States only 10,522 illegal aliens who were encountered at the southwest border and who were placed in removal proceedings before an immigration judge during that time. In other words, of the at least 3.3 million illegal aliens released into the U.S., the Biden administration failed to remove through immigration court removal proceedings roughly 99.7% of those illegal aliens. That percentage remains unchanged for stated despite DHS's repeated claims that it is removing aliens. And Secretary State said, we're making very clear that borders are not... Are they just supposed to remove them before the court proceedings are over? Or what are you supposed to do? I don't think, okay. I go back to my original thing that I said before. I don't think there's much of a border problem, or if there is one, I think it's being dramatically overblown. That's my position. That's not going to change until I get like some real data on this. If these are your strongest fighters, I don't believe it. I don't think there is a substantial border crisis. Because if there was, you'd be able to do better than this. This is dog shit. This is like embarrassing. I would be embarrassed to post this on my fucking Twitter. Cringe. This is interesting, at least. Nationwide illegal alien apprehension. Removal. Why were apprehensions so high in the 80s? If I had to guess without having a huge background, my guess is going to be that illegal immigration or people trying to come into the country illegally probably corresponds more to exogenous conditions, so conditions in other countries, rather than conditions in the U.S. Like people saying like, oh, it's because the Democrats want open borders. But if you look between like 2000 and 2008, the amount of people trying to get here when Bush was in office was way more than Obama. It's not even fucking close. Did Obama have a single year over 1 million? Obama's highest year was 723,000 apprehensions. And Bush's lowest year was like 876,000. Like, with most of them being over 1 million. So my guess is going to be that people probably respond to external conditions more, things that are going on in other countries. So like, my guess is if we look through the 80s, maybe Mexico had some crazy shit happening in like the mid 80s or something. Maybe in the 90s. That's my guess. I don't know 100%. Okay. Bloomberg. Illegal U.S. border crossings aren't really breaking records. Federal agents used to catch only a third of those trying to enter the country unlawfully from Mexico. Now it's closer to 90%, as most simply turn themselves in. To apply for asylum? The number of people who are apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol agents or voluntarily surrender to them at or near the border with Mexico has skyrocketed recently, setting records in each of the past 3 fiscal years and exceeding last year's numbers in each of the first 4 months of the fiscal year that started in October. This is usually interpreted to mean that illegal immigration is also setting records. That's probably not the case. The problem with the statistics on what the Border Patrol's parent agency, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, now calls Southwest Land Border Encounters, is that they leave out people who successfully evade the agency's agents. In past decades, these were the majority of illegal border crossers. Estimates are that only 1 out of 3 coming into our country are actually caught. President Jimmy Carter said in 1977. More precise, albeit still pretty uncertain, the Department of Homeland Security estimates of the Southwest border apprehension rate in the 2000s range from 33% to 43%. In recent years, the apprehension rate has been much higher than that. According to the most recent estimate by DHS, it was 81% in the 2021 fiscal year. Going by monthly CBP got away estimates compiled by the Cato Institute's David J. Bayer, the apprehension rate was 79% in both the 2022 and 2023 fiscal years and 92% in the first 4 months of the 2024 fiscal year. That rate has risen partly because the U.S.-Mexico border is more tightly controlled than it used to be, with more Border Patrol agents, taller walls and fences, and more extensive and advanced surveillance technology. But mainly it's just that the people crossing the border illegally don't want to sneak past the Border Patrol. Instead, they intend to turn themselves in and apply for asylum. This wave of asylum applicants truly is unprecedented, overwhelming the U.S. asylum court system and swamping cities with newcomers in need of shelter. My point here isn't that everything is hunky-dory, but estimates of how many illegal border crossers don't encounter U.S. agents are an essential piece of the immigration picture, and they haven't received nearly enough attention in the media and in political debate. So I'm going to give them some. To start, here's the shocking picture painted by the CBP Southwest Land Border Encounters data and equivalent earlier statistics on illegal alien apprehensions along the border published by the Border Patrol. See, these are border apprehensions. But again, in past decades, far more people probably crossed the border illegally without getting caught. To estimate how many, DHS has used a statistical model based on surveys of recently turned back border crossers conducted by El Colegio de la Frontera Norte, a Mexican government research center based in Tijuana, and some assumptions about their subsequent behavior. Doubts about the reliability of this model have been growing as the population of border crossers changes, and a pandemic caused halt to surveys in 2020 and 2021 led DHS to skip making model-based estimate for the 2021 fiscal year in its most recent border security metrics report. At the same time, though, increased electronic surveillance and more consistent reporting standards have resulted in greatly wrong. Here's what actual Southwest border crossings look like if you factor in model-based DHS apprehension estimates for 2000. Through 2013, an average on the model-based and got-away-based estimates that DHS calls its working estimate apprehension rate for 2014 to 2020. The got-away-based rate reported by DHS for the 2021 fiscal year and 2022 and 2023 got-away numbers released by the CBP in speeches, testimony, and leaks to journalists. So these are encounters versus successful unlawful entries. The trajectory over the past decade doesn't change much, but the comparison with the early 2000s does. There appear to have been fewer legal border crossings in 2023 than in 2000, 2004, and 2005. What about before 2000? As indicated by President Carter's 1977 remarks, apprehension rates were probably similar to or lower than those of the 2000s. To provide a long-run view, I've generously assumed a 40% apprehension rate from 1960 through 1999 and expressed the inflows as a percentage of U.S. population. By this measure, illegal crossings at the southwest border were lower in 2023 than in most of the... It'd be nice if we did raw numbers as well instead of just percentage of U.S. population, but... Past decades, many Mexicans freely crossed, and recrossed the border legally as work opportunities in the U.S. waxed and waned, or simply returned home to visit families. Then again, from March 2020 to May 11, 2023, as the emergency COVID-19 health order, known as Title 42, led the CBP to turn back even asylum seekers. Many tried repeatedly and were counted multiple times in the border encounter statistics. These statistics also don't count smugglers and others across the southern border, but turned back. It doesn't seem to be well understood as illegal immigration rates were at their lowest in half a century in the 2010s. In fact, they were probably negative on net, with the Pew Research Center estimating based on census and other data in the U.S. Unauthorized file from... We already have this. I think this is the exact article that we looked at before. It is, yeah. Legal southwest border crossings began to rise again during Donald Trump's presidency, with the estimated number more than doubling from 2016 to 2019 fiscal years before falling with the arrival of COVID-19. They've nearly tripled from that 2019 total since. And the most recent estimate I've seen of the unauthorized immigration population from the Centers for Immigration Studies puts it at 12.8 million as of October. Okay. As already noted, it's a much different sort of illegal immigration than that of the 80s and 2000s. Rather than mostly Mexicans trying to get past border agents, it's people from all over the world turning themselves in and hoping they'll be allowed to stay. A lot of them do have genuine asylum claims, said Aaron Reichlin Melnick, policy director of the American Immigration Council. But there are also people who arrive at the border never having heard of asylum, but thinking the U.S. has open border laws. He added, "We don't have a functioning system that exists right now to distinguish who is who." This seems like the big problem. The big problem seems to be that our asylum processing is kind of shit. I think that seems to be like a huge issue. Okay. So if what we've read so far is correct, then how to fix America's immigration crisis. I imagine then that, depending on the date of this, it probably, hopefully, fixates a lot on the asylum thing. So here I see, this was in 2023, the Biden admin grants protections to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans. The Biden admin said Wednesday that it was granting temporary legal status to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans who are already in the country as it grapples with growing numbers of people fleeing the South American country and elsewhere to arrive at the U.S. border in Mexico. So it plans to grant temporary protected status to 472,000 Venezuelans. So TPS is something that the government is allowed to do. Okay, so TPS can be granted. These are other forms. This isn't asylum, okay? This is something different. So TPS is granted to those in the U.S. who cannot return to their home country due to natural disaster, extraordinary, temporary conditions, or ongoing armed conflict. And it can be granted for 6, 12, or 18 months, but it can be extended if unsafe conditions persist, and it's authorized by statute. So that means that they should be, if he hasn't extended it, then they should be basically gone by now. And I see here it says the Biden administration is resuming deportation flights for Venezuelan migrants as arrivals grow. And so in October 5th of 2023, September, October, did he do it for just 1 month? Or maybe the people that were here he granted for 6 months, but now he's no longer granting it. That's what this would have meant. But this is only for temporary protected status. This isn't to like make you an asylum like immigrant or something. Oh, actually, we can just look on the temporary protected status. So the this will tell you who currently is eligible for TPS. So these are countries that are currently authorized for temporary protected status. But these, this doesn't give you, I don't believe this grants you permanent asylum. It doesn't grant you permanent refugee. It doesn't grant you like a pathway to lawful permanent residency. This is a temporary thing that once it's gone, it's gone. Does it tell you here how many have TPS status or TPS? Does the government publish those numbers? Nope. How to fix America's immigration crisis. The immigration problem Congress faces is large and complex. Let's break it down. Between October 2022 and September 2023, there were 3.1 million attempted crossings along the U.S. southern border. Of that, an estimated 600,000 migrants were able to cross the border undetected, according to the Department of Homeland Security. The U.S. government had 2.5 million migrant encounters, 83% of which occurred between designated ports of entry, often in dangerous remote locations like the Sonoran Desert. Over 500,000 migrants were expelled under Title 42, policy enacted during the pandemic that allowed border officials to expel migrants without a deportation hearing. The Biden administration lifted the policy in May of 2023. Most are processed under Title 8 immigration law, which covers a wide range of issues, including asylum, visas, refugees, and deportations. Also, I believe that when it says that the Biden admin lifted this policy, I think they had to, because we weren't in the pandemic shit anymore, right? I don't think they were able to. Because I think they tried to, and the Supreme Court said they weren't allowed to, right? How did nobody know about the asylum hack before, like, COVID? Was it just like a well-kept secret, or why didn't people know about this before? Okay, new asylum rules. Under U.S. and international law, anyone who comes to the U.S. can ask for asylum. People from all over the world travel to the US-Mexico border to seek asylum. They are screened to determine whether they have a credible fear of persecution in their homeland. Their case then goes to the immigration court system to determine if they can stay in the U.S., but that process can take years. Usually they're released in the U.S. to fight other cases. The Biden administration is now turning away anyone seeking asylum who didn't first seek protection in a country they traveled through or first applied online. This is a version of a Trump administration policy that was overturned by the courts. Advocacy groups sued to block the new rule minutes before it took effect. The lawsuit, filed in federal court in San Francisco by the Center for Gender and Refugee Studies and other groups, alleges the Biden admin doubled down on the policy proposed by Trump, and that the same court rejected. The Biden admin has said its new rule is substantially different. Well, okay, let's keep going here. Most are processed under title. I don't know. Almost 200,000 were placed into expedited removal proceedings, usually because of a criminal record or a prior border apprehension. Others voluntarily left to avoid further processing. Roughly 300,000 migrants were given humanitarian parole at the border and allowed to temporarily live in the U.S., a status available to migrants from a handful of countries such as Venezuela and Nicaragua. I think this is the temporary protected status, TPS. Including migrants who were apprehended elsewhere or were referred after other proceedings. Nearly 1.5 million new cases were added to the immigration court system in the last fiscal year. Only a small number of new cases were decided in the year they were added. As of the end of 2023, some 1.8 million of the new arrivals remained in the U.S., with their case waiting in the backlog or with some other form of temporary status. Only a minute fraction of new court cases ended in a deportation last year, but nearly 900,000 migrants were removed through other channels. Okay, so here's encounters. These got away. These expelled under Title 42, and then processed under Title 8 is our immigration stuff. Then we've got expedited removal. Then these guys left. New immigration court cases added this year, 1.5 million. And then these are in ongoing proceedings or legal limbo. Of the nearly 2 million migrants who were processed under Title 8 last year, just 2,700 were granted formal relief in the form of asylum and other paths towards permanent residency. The recent surge in migrants out of the southern border, which reached a high in December, has at long last brought Democrats and Republicans close to agreement on one thing: the need for immediate attention to a broken immigration system. We have an underfunded immigration apparatus that is swallowed in bureaucracy, complicated beyond imagination, bound by decades-old international agreements, paralyzed by divisive politics, and barely functional under the best of circumstances. Now we face the terrible consequences in fiscal year 2023 alone. From October 2022 to September 2023, the U.S. had 2.5 million encounters along its 2,000-mile border with Mexico, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. It's over 2.5 times the number just 4 years ago, overwhelming the ability of governmental bodies, Border Patrol, immigration courts, human services agencies to manage the flow. The continued escalation of the crisis allowed Republicans to leverage the issue in exchange for more aid. Broadly speaking, Democrats want more money to process the backlog, while Republicans want to substantially narrow the grounds on which migrants will be permitted to remain in the U.S., along with building more of the wall. We need lots of the former and a bit of the latter. The backlog has doubled since 2021, increasing caseloads to around 4,500 per judge. Holy shit. The Democratic push for more funding is correct. The country's immediate need is to unclog the immigration court system that has allowed millions of asylum seekers to float around the country, unable to work for the first 6 months after entry, and then potentially remain in limbo for years. During the 2023 fiscal year, just 670,000 cases were resolved in the courts, so yes to money for more border agents, processing staff, asylum review officers, and judges. But that's not enough. We must reduce the flow to the border, which will require making immigration into the U.S. by such means more difficult. As Republicans have long demanded and Democrats are coming to see as necessary, our obligation under international law to provide asylum need not create chaos. Percentage of immigration court cases resolved per year. For starters, we should require asylum seekers to apply in Mexico or other countries, including their home countries, before they reach the U.S., reducing the incentive to travel here to gain entry during drawn-out proceedings. Why is this not happening? Both Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden have tried to accomplish this, but these changes have been mired in legal challenges and strained negotiations with Latin American countries. For this to succeed, the United States needs to work with Mexico to make conditions that are safe for asylum seekers in waiting. Next, we need to tighten the asylum criteria. Somebody said something about asylum reform was part of the last immigration bill. Is that true? Failed immigration legislation House. Fact sheet. Whitehouse.gov, meaning this comes from the Biden White House, right? To be clear, this isn't like a congressional thing, so it'll be slanted probably towards Biden, if anything else, but. The bipartisan Senate bill would add more than 1,500 new Customs and Border Protection personnel. Sounds good. Asylum officers and asylum reform. Similarly, asylum officer staffing has remained stagnant over the last 4 years, and there's an insufficient number of asylum officers to do initial screenings. As a result, each asylum case generally takes 5 to 7 years to be heard and adjudicated. Today, there are approximately 1,000 asylum officers. The bipartisan Senate bill would add an additional 4,300 asylum officers, and it would make the asylum process faster and fair. This sounds good. Immigration Customs Forces. ICE detention facilities are currently over capacity. They've got 40,000 detention beds. The bipartisan Senate agreement would increase detention beds to a total of 50,000. Immigration judges. There's a backlog of over 2 million cases for immigration judges. Each asylum case generally takes 5 to 7 years. Without more judges, there's funding for 734 immigration judges. Bipartisan would provide funding for an additional 100 immigration judges and their associated staff. That sounds good. Wait, so why did Republicans oppose this? Please tell me there's more than just Trump said not to, right? Why did Republicans oppose I shouldn't call it bipartisan, oppose border bill Congress? This was from February 29th, 2024. April 21st. Wait. This is today. Okay. A security bill nearly identical to legislation House Republicans passed last year was an attempt by House Speaker Johnson to quell growing hard right dissatisfaction. It was turned down, brought to the floor under a fast-track procedure known as suspension of the rules requires to do this majority for passage. The conservative, it was meant to appeal to, slammed as a show vote. This measure is separate and not part of a package of 3 supplemental funding bills containing aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, as well as another so-called sidecar bill for dealing with TikTok. Wait, why the fuck would they not pass this? Hold on. The Senate will be able to clear the foreign aid package and ignore the border security bill that closely resembles another House passport rather than quell the unrest. Johnson's move produced only more ire from hard right members. 3 Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, and Paul Gosar of Arizona, are already backing a move to oust Johnson through a motion to vacate. Again. Christ. Republicans were largely in favor of the border bill, but several referred to the vote as a sham and admitted the bill would not pass in the Senate, which Democrats control. Did Democrats in the Senate say they'd shoot it down? House Republicans are trying again to make our Democrat colleagues and President Biden take this border crisis seriously, Alabama's Barry Moore said. The top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler of New York, said the bill was a foolhardy attempt to pass for a second time one of the most draconian immigration bills this Congress has ever seen. The rehashing of H.R. 2 is a joke. That makes it sound like the Democrats wouldn't have gone for it in Congress. Republicans have proven that they want the issue more than they want solutions, he said. So here we are again, taking a virtually same draconian bill as before, knowing that if it actually passes the House, it would surely go nowhere in the Senate. Naylor argued if Republicans were serious about addressing immigration at the southern border, they would have supported the bipartisan border bill in the Senate instead of rejecting it. What's the difference between this one and the one that Biden has written about here? There are 2 border bills, H.R. 1 and H.R. 2. Congressional Republicans walked away from the other bill earlier this year at the urging of GOP presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump, who was not supportive of the bill because he is centering his re-election campaign on immigration. The chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Trader Jim Jordan of Ohio, argued that the bill isn't quite H.R. 2. The bill is nearly identical to H.R. 2, but removes the mandate for employers to verify a worker's immigration status and employment eligibility and includes about $9 billion in grant programs for border states. Let's take a step in the direction of fixing it and pass this legislation. Washington State Democrats and chair of the Progressive Congressional Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, said the bill was pointless. The majority could barely pass this legislation last year, she said, referring to the party line votes in 2023, and now it's going to magically pass it in the House with a 2/3 majority. Give me a break. I wonder what the difference is between H.R. 2 versus H.R. 1 border. How does HR 2 differ from the draft border and immigration laws? The text of the Senate bill is not available. It's impossible to determine what the differences are, but I can guess. Okay. The Senate bill is unlikely to have these. Section 102. This section requires the DHS to resume all activities relating to construction of a wall. This section imposes additional requirements on DHS related to construction of barriers. This is just a core, I guess. The bipartisan bill wasn't called HR 1, my bad. I just couldn't remember if the Republicans one was called HR 1 or 2. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there a text for HR 2 somewhere? Or is that HR 2? What does that stand for? House Republican Bill 2? Or like, what the fuck does HR 2 stand for? Oh, House Resolution. True. You're right. Lankford releases border security package with huge wins for securing the border. Why was I given this? This was supposed to include... HR 2, Secure the Border Act of 2023. This was the Republican bill, sponsored by a Republican. HR 2 is a non-starter hardcore bill pushed by the most extreme members. Look at the bill from Senator Lankford. Republicans threw him under the bus after Trump told them not to do anything to address the border. So this has you resuming the construction of the wall. I'm guessing this is probably things that people aren't okay with on the Democratic side. Pose additional requirements on DHS related to the construction of barriers. Requires DHS to construct a border wall along at least 900 miles of border, whereas currently they're required of 700 miles. Requires DHS to waive all legal requirements necessary to ensure the expeditious construction of the border barriers. Okay. Section 115. This section prohibits DHS from processing the entry of non-U.S. nationals, aliens under federal law, arriving in between ports of entry. 2, providing funds to NGOs that facilitate... Oh, it prohibits the DHS from providing funds to NGOs that facilitate or encourage unlawful activity. And 3, prohibits them from providing funds to NGOs that provide certain services, such as lodging or immigration legal services to inadmissible non-U.S. nationals. Jesus, okay. This section prohibits the Department of Homeland Security from issuing any COVID-19 vaccine mandate unless expressly authorized by Congress, or taking any adverse action against an employee based solely on the employee's refusal to receive a vaccine. What the fuck? Is there something about supporting Andrew Tate in here as well if you want to keep your job? This section specifies that no funds are authorized to be appropriated for specified DHS activities, including a pilot program for alternatives to detention or purchasing electric vehicles. Wait, what the fuck? What is this bill? What? This section requires the Office of Inspector General assessment to mitigate unmanned aircraft systems. Maybe this is in the other one too, and I'm just like making fun of this because I'm retarded. It's possible. Okay, so this was HR 2, and then bipartisan, border. Where can I see like that? Division C, Border Act. Oh, holy fuck this. Credible fear standard and asylum bars at screening interview, internal relocation, asylum officer clarification. Section 3202. Section 235, subsection B1B of the Immigration and Nationality Act is amended in Clause 5 by striking significant possibility and inserting reasonable possibility, and by adding at the end the following asylum exceptions. An asylum officer during the credible fear screening of an alien shall determine whether any of the asylum exceptions under Section 1 disqualify the alien from receiving asylum, and may determine that the alien does not meet the definition of credible fear of persecution under Clause 5 if any such exceptions apply, including whether any such exceptions to such disqualifying exceptions may apply. I don't know what it's amending, so it's hard for me to, I can't like comment on this. Do you think bundling legislation together like this is okay? I mean, unfortunately, it's just kind of the way Congress works now, right? As you bundle it all together. This is, so HR2 is the pretty radical one?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank Chairman Jordan, Chairman Green, and Chairman McCall for their leadership and contributions to the bill that we see before us today. I just wanted to comment briefly on kind of my experience and what I saw at the border at the invitation of members of the Judiciary Committee. I was able to kind of see, I think, two different, very diverse parts of the border. First and foremost, in McAllen, Texas, where we spent a couple of days and had an opportunity not only to talk to border agents themselves, but also sat through a full presentation by Homeland Security. One of the things that struck me, and I think is very pertinent to what we're discussing today, is every time I asked a border agent, or every time I spoke with someone from Homeland Security, I would say, what can we do as members of Congress? Because a lot of times you go on these trips and you know, they're tours, and you feel like when you're done, it's overwhelming, and you really want to know kind of how can we have an impact? And I think what made an impression on me was every person I spoke to said Title 42. I don't think you could find somebody probably at the times when I was at the border that could really describe what Title 42 meant or what the impact.
Wait, what? But we can't, Title 42 will only work for national emergency, right? So do you want us to declare a state of emergency on the border? Or is Title 42 only for, because it worked because of the medical emergency thing, right? Oh wait, is it only for medical emergencies? Oh. What the fuck is this cringe? Okay, that didn't help at all. Okay, a little known provision of U.S. health law, section 265 of Title 42. Okay, Title 42, section 2. Oh, it doesn't work that way, huh? This is the cringiest public health service here. Why am I even trying to navigate this fucking cucky fucking bullshit? General powers and duties. Imagine thinking I'm ever going to be able to find what the fuck I'm looking for. It's not happening. Jeez, we're going to find it. I'm going to be a god. Oh my god, I did find it. Okay, Title 42, U.S. Code, subsection 265, or section 265, suspension of entries and imports from designated places to prevent spread of communicable diseases. Whenever the Surgeon General determines that by reason of the existence of any communicable disease in a foreign country, there is a serious danger of the introduction of such disease into the United States, and that this danger is so increased by the introduction of persons or property from such country that a suspension of the right to introduce such persons or property is required in the interest of the public health, the Surgeon General, in accordance with regulations approved by the President, shall have the power to prohibit in whole or in part the introduction of persons and property from such countries or places as he shall designate in order to avert such danger and for such period of time as he may deem necessary for such purpose. How is there any other part of Title 42 that allows you to do immigration?
You could find somebody probably at the times when I was at the border that could really describe what Title 42 meant or what the impact would be. But guess what? Those agents knew.
Because it sounds like, I think it's Title 8. Is that what we generally do immigration under? Chapter 6. Title 8, Chapter 6. Immigration. Chapter 7. Exclusion of Chinese. Wholly based racist founding government view. I don't know when Title 8 was found. Immigration and naturalization agencies, officers, and stations. Regulation and restriction of immigration in general. Quota and non-quota immigrants. Repealed. Is this all, like, deprecated? Chapter 6. Oh, immigration and nationality. Immigration and naturalization service. Past 2000. Okay. If I'm looking through the US code and I'm hitting stuff like, so chapter 6 immigration, if I'm hitting stuff like this and then I'm clicking through and I'm getting like repealed, omitted, repealed, that means that this part of the US code is deprecated. It's like, no, it's defunct and it's replaced by something else. Is that what that essentially means? Section Act, June 7th, 1924, related to aliens who entered prior to July 1st, 1924, under Code of 1921, and was omitted as executed. Penalties, okay, so if I click here, nope. This didn't take us where we wanted. No, okay, never mind. All right. Okay.
They knew what it meant. They meant or what the impact would be. But guess what? Those agents knew. They knew what it meant. They meant it would be a unbelievable unleashing of many different factions of people that were immigrating for any number of reasons across the border. And they knew it was going to overwhelm them. So here, as we stand here today and debate this bill and watch the very...
Well, but what are you going to do? If COVID is over, you can't Title 42 your way forever, right? Like,
quite honestly, when you're watching it on TV right now, it's overwhelming. You can see the masses of people that are gathering. So it's timely for the bill, and I want, once again, thank Chairman Jordan and Chairman Green for pulling all this together. Now, you'll back.
Gentleman from California.
Okay. Well... My dream died, and now I'm here. Title 42 is only for the emergency, and that's why the bipartisan border deal should have been so good for Republicans. It gave the president Title 42-like powers if the number of border encounters got too high. But ironically, Republicans got triggered by that because they see imposing a maximum is basically saying we want this many illegals to come in per day. Aside from Trump's influence, I think the rejection of the bill came fundamentally from not knowing or understanding asylum law. I mean, their staffers would have informed them, right? Am I going on C-SPAN tomorrow? Yeah, I think at 9 a.m. Jesus. I think there's legitimately a lot of people who want Biden to declare emergency to seal off the border. Why? Why not just increase the amount of agents down there to process the people? Why not just do that? It doesn't seem like there's actually an emergency. It just seems like we're like really backlogged right now on the number of people trying to come through.
You're a real gentleman about this, and I know you're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking.
Oh, am I crazy? This guy's voice does not match what this guy looks like. This guy looks like a nerd. He's got like a Giga Chad voice. Do you think? Am I wild on that? What the fuck?
Who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like, that's what I was expecting him to sound like. What the fuck? Do you think cities like New York having to spend $12 billion on immigrant shelters is not a problem? I mean, yeah, I guess it is, but I mean, like, New York has a stupid policy. Why would you have a right to, why would you guarantee, right? That's New York's fault. Fuck them. Why would you guarantee people that are in the country illegally the right to housing? That's on you. Figure it out. Fuck you. I don't know. What? That's not a U.S. immigration problem. That's not a federal problem. That's a state policy, and that's their choice. If New York wants to fuck themselves that way, then they can fuck themselves that way. Get fucked. I don't understand why why that has anything to do with immigration in the United States, or why that means that any part of it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election. It's the single biggest issue during the election. Don't resolve this. We'll resolve it next year.
The right to shelter policy came as a result of a 70s lawsuit against New York City. For what? Well, probably because they weren't in accordance with something with the state. I can't say, well, does New York have a state constitution? I can't believe their top court is called the New York Court of Appeals. My God. But
quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away. I get that. That's a decision everybody makes in it. My issue is
every state has a constitution. I thought every state had a Supreme Court.
If we're pursuing everything, we very often end up with nothing. If we're pursuing someone coming later to fix it, later seems to never come. When we have a moment to fix things, we should fix as many things as we can then come back later and fix the rest.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That again, he's got an office that he's running for. He's got a campaign that he's running. I'm already in office. I've got a responsibility to be able to carry on this.
Jesus.
I think everybody cares about the future of the country. President Trump has a bigger picture of a lot of other issues he's looking for. If we have a President Biden again, this never gets any better. And I think President Trump sees this as a moment that if this gets fixed, then maybe a few people don't vote. And then we have a whole host of other issues in the future. Again, he's got a task.
How can you admit that? How can you admit that with any self-respect? As an American citizen, how can you say something like that and serve in Congress and serve as like a A representative of the people. How disgusting. Ugh.
He's taken on respectful. I've also got a task I've got to do. I've got to actually get this fixed.
Got it. Senator, very good seeing you again. Thank you.
Oh, anyway. Next, we need to tighten the asylum criteria. For example, we should make a great distinction in the asylum process between those who followed established procedures and enter the country through the established port of entry and those who crossed along our border between ports of entry. Mr. Biden has already started on this path with a new federal rule requiring the migrants to obtain appointments at ports of entry or should have been denied asylum. Okay. This rule is being challenged in the courts and it needs to be codified by Congress. Oh, okay, so the asylum stuff is a decent part of this. And more funding. Organizing the need for due process, we should raise the legal standard for consideration for asylum from a significant possibility that asylum would be granted to something closer to the standard used for final decisions in immigration court, reducing the number of duplicative hearings and administrative delays. We also need to further limit the use humanitarian parole, a program extended by Biden administration allows more migrants from places like Venezuela and Nicaragua to take as heartbreaking as it may be, so we cannot take every refugee from every failed state. Of course, the most humanitarian way to reduce flow over the border be to help improve conditions in the countries from which many of the new arrivals emanate. We chose differently. Over the past 10 years, our aid spending has dropped to a paltry 0.2% of our GDP from 0.3%. Huh. Okay. My brain is immigration expanded. All right. Good job today.